It's on.
Is Arn in here?
Is Orin in here? No.
I'm gonna tell the kids to keep out for like 40 minutes.
Okay.
How long is it?
What's that?
How long do you think? Hour?
Yeah, at the most. I'm gonna cut it off at an hour at the most.
There you got True Me. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one.
Hi, David. I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, David. Hello.
Hello. Yay, thanks for coming, David. So we have, I don't know if you can see, we have 3 people so far. We had 20 people register, so I don't know if they're all going to show.
I think the thing was with the time zones. Some people got confused.
Yeah, that was the other thing. There's a lot of things that I left out of the instructions, but I wasn't going to worry about it too much because this is the first time. I knew there was going to be a lot of mistakes. So hopefully we'll just do this again next week and do it better. But I did wanted to do a test run to see if we get it started at least.
Well, whoever doesn't sign in, we can talk about them.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. So we can't talk about Lenny or Albert. Oh, yeah,
David.
I'm busy. You can't be up here. I'm busy.
Sorry.
My grandson came over to check out what I was doing. Lauren, you can't be in here. You cannot be in here. Go on. Out, out, out. You can take the phone. Steven, yay, Steven came on. Oh, okay. Albert said he doesn't have a camera. So it is 7:03. We'll wait 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. I have this laptop with a tiny screen, so I have to get close to read what the messages say.
Did you have everybody muted, Marlon, when they came in?
I thought I did, but I don't know that.
Maybe that's why I wasn't hearing anybody. Because I still can't hear Stephen.
She's muted.
Yeah, I'm muted too. I'm muted just so that there's no background noise.
I want to hear some dance disco music, Miko. Come on.
If you guys think I know what I'm doing, you're wrong.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Stephen. I don't know. Can anybody else hear you?
Can you hear
I
me?
can hear her. I can
Loud
hear
and
her.
clear. Loud and clear.
All right.
Queers right now. Loud and queer.
Loud and queer. That's true.
Stephen, are you on your iPad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yay.
Lenny, can you hear us?
I might have him muted. Let me see. Oh, I do have him muted. Just a second. Lenny,
So he
can you
hear us? We just can't hear him.
Lenny, can you hear us now? I think Miko's muted.
I can hear Miko.
Can you?
Yeah.
Miko has that virtual, background.
Yeah, I throw in the mute just so that
Oh, thank you.
everybody can hear everybody.
Olivia Barney. Yay. Olivia, are you there? Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and start. Before we begin, I wanted to do a little smudge here. So this is a cybernetic electronic smudging.
I better close my door. You can hear those cars.
Okay, I'm going to say a little short prayer. Mahil, Hazagdam Zi Putki Holy Legitskat, Onagitskat, Budagi, Stafigi, Oven. Creator, we thank you for getting us started and bringing us together. We ask that your guidance as we go forward and to serve one another and to help each other the best we can in these times. Be with all of our relatives who are sick and help us to stay healthy. And we just leave everything in your hands. In the name of love, we ask and pray all these things. Amen.
Oh,
So,
close this curtain.
there's going to be people coming on as we go along, so kind of ignore me a little bit. I want to just start out by saying thank you for joining me this evening. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Look at Elton.
oh, Elton. Hey, Elton.
I had
So,
so much fun here.
I was like, hi, there's all the elders, like Lenny.
True.
just had to join and bring the youth perspective.
That's why I'm here, Elton.
Oh,
So David's representing our youth.
Youth
No
for
comment.
Miko.
So,
Miko.
so I think there's not a whole lot to say except we're all kind of on the same page about with everybody being stuck at home. It's important for us to stay in contact more than ever. Not that we were in much contact as it was, but so I'm going to be doing this on a weekly basis, and I'm recording this right now, so people can play it back if they want to hear it later on during the week or for whatever reference. Also, I wanted to give the Two-Spirit organizations a chance to be recognized over time. I don't expect to do everything at once. So we'll take, maybe one or two a week. And then I wanted to introduce people to our leaders. A lot of people don't even know who our leaders are. And finally, with the elders here, like me and Albert and Stephen and Miko, who's not that old yet, but
and David, don't leave him out.
but to someplace record our history. I know that there are some people doing some historical book stuff, but I think it's important that we have in our own words, and because I can talk about what happened in Washington D.C. But I wasn't in San Francisco and I wasn't in Canada. So everybody, I think those of us just share our own personal stories about what it was like, being gay. Because even before there was this word Two-Spirit, there was the word gay.
Mm-hmm.
So, all that stuff needs to be. The other topic I talked with some people about is there's no mechanism for us to the elders to be passing on knowledge. I think, the United States is Canada. Albert, you guys seem to be doing great work up there. And I'm really envious of all the stuff you guys are doing, especially with the Two Spirits in Motion. And I hope that we can do something similar here in the United States. But for now, these are just hopes and dreams. But I applaud Canada for doing all the work they're doing. I know that Boyd Whiskey Jack has as a force up there doing a lot of good stuff. So anyway, that's a little bit about a background of why I'm doing this. And if you guys have any suggestions about programming we can do, don't hesitate to talk to me and we'll see what we can do. And I don't have to be the only host. We can switch hosting for different areas to do different stuff. So there's all kinds of things we can do with this. So anyway, at this point, I want to turn over to David and Stephen to talk a little bit about, talk about themselves, introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about their backgrounds. I think we know each other, but I just want to do it for recording's sake. So don't worry about if you're repeating yourself. Just and talk about the Montana Gathering. So Stephen, I'm going to turn it over to you at this point.
Okay, my name is Stephen Barrios, and member of the Blackfeet tribe, and live here on the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana. And I'm one of the co-founders with David Herrera for the Montana Two-Spirit Society, and which has been going on for years. And this year was going to be our 25th anniversary. And so it's just incredible to see how far we've come over the years and stuff. And I remember when I first moved back to Montana and got involved with the Montana Two-Spirit Society, I had no clue about what Two-Spirit was or anything. And I just, really was thankful that when I did move home, I was invited to attend a workshop that David was putting on in Billings, and that's how I got involved. And I had met John Coquet at that time, and I think David had already done one of the gatherings, and I had went to the second gathering, and that's when I got involved with the Montana Two-Spirit Society. And it was something that my first gathering was so wonderful, because I really never did ever have a sense of belonging anywhere, and to meet other Two-Spirit natives, or as you said before, they were gay, and that's what I considered myself, was gay, living in the city, and just not really, I guess, following the path I should have been following as a Two-Spirit person, and looking out for people. I was only out for my own self-pleasure and all that. And when I started attending these gatherings, and I realized I just had a different sense of belonging, and that I knew that's where I needed to be, and to be there for my people. And it was so wonderful. And I remember David asking that second year, that when I first went, he said, does anybody want to be on the planning committee? And I thought, I want to be on there. And so, of course, I raised my hand and been on there ever since. And so it was wonderful. And, and to see the leaders that we have out there now and stuff, it's wonderful, because all of us have made such a huge commitment to this movement of our people, and bringing our people together, and educating, and sharing our cultures. We all come from different cultures, and whole different kinds of ceremonies. So it's so wonderful to bring them together, and see that all that's happening among our people. And so that was, the walk that I chose from that moment on, and it was so important to me. And then also, working with David, and he got me working with HIV prevention in that field. So I've been working in that ever since, also, because I've seen so many of our Native people, brothers and sisters, and our youth passing away from that also. So that was one of my passions, was to work with our people with that also, and to realize that when we walk this life as a Two-Spirit person, that really carries a lot of weight, that word Two-Spirit, because we have to take care of our people, our elders, our youth, everybody. We've got roles that we all still play among our people, and we're bringing a lot of that stuff back, and a lot of our culture back to our people, and these ceremonies that have been lost. So that's a little bit about me, and thank you for letting me share that. So.
My name is David Herrera with the Montana Two-Spirit Society, one of the founders. So I just want to give probably an update. I want to thank you and acknowledge you, Marlon, for setting this up. This is something that we've also, Steve and I, have talked about doing, is trying to set up a kind of a Zoom meeting for some of our Two-Spirit leaders to reach out to see kind of what are some of the needs right now that folks are seeing within their community, and how can we, as not only the Montana Two-Spirit Society, but other societies, be working together to try and help, our communities right now. And so I think I think there's a lot of, Stephen and I were on a call with one of our funders. And so there is a lot of concern with funders right now that want to try and help out, particularly with the Indigenous and Two-Spirit communities. So, and so that's why I want to try and organize something that we can can be a little bit more strategic as far as trying to figure out what some of the needs are and what we can do as not only the Montana Two-Spirit Society, but more importantly, I think collectively as the International Council as well. So I know Steve and I have talked about, that I think right now more than ever during this pandemic that we need to revitalize the International Council and, be having that group kind of serve as some type of leadership role during all this. And because that is kind of one of the intentions with that group was for that to be kind of the voice for our Two-Spirit, communities. So I'm hoping that will maybe continue. But I just want to give folks an update. Our 25th annual Montana Gathering was scheduled for August the 18th through the 21st. It has not been canceled at this point. I've been in communication with the Methodist camp, and they are right now. Montana is in a shelter in place, as I think most states are, and that goes until April the 24th. It was just extended I think just a couple of days ago. My understanding is that the Methodist Camp Board will be meeting at probably around that time at the end of April, and they'll make a decision whether. I expect that there's going to be camps that are going to be canceled. So a lot of the camps that they do in the summer are youth camps, and those may be canceled. We'll see. The manager did mention to me that there is a chance that they may end up having to cancel the entire season, which will be the summer. If that happens, then I would assume that we would have no choice but to cancel the gathering at that point. So again, right now, we're just kind of on hold until we know kind of what happens at the end of the month. But we're still encouraging people to register for the gathering. I would say to not pay, don't send in a registration fee. But for folks that do send in a registration, if we do end up having to cancel, we'll refund that, the full amount. And then the other option would be if we cancel, then if we could find another location in the fall, to try and have a different place. So yeah, that's kind of the news that we have. We're moving forward. I'm continuing to write grants for the gathering. Our funders have been amazing. They've been very good about saying if we can shift funds, to other services, given the pandemic. So that's really been great. So, but that's why right now it's like I'm hoping that we can just meet with other Two-Spirit leaders to try and do type of a needs assessment, like what are the needs right now of our community. One of the things that I'm concerned about is mental health, with isolation and with a lot of our Two-Spirit members being in recovery, and the isolation and self-isolation and triggers that could cause individuals to possibly relapse. So I just want to be very mindful of that and to see what we can be doing. I'm so glad that Lenny is on here as a mental health professional, because I think we're going to need folks to be providing some of those mental health services for our community. So yeah, I think that's all that I need. I know that we're at limited time, so I want to be mindful of that as well and give other people a chance to speak. So thank you.
My fingers are fat. So it's like I'm trying to find the buttons to push. So thank you, David and Stephen. I don't know if Albert, are you on audio? I don't think you are.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, good. I was hoping Boyd would be on by now, but maybe I don't see him. Could you give us an update on whatever what you know about the international gathering in Canada?
Yeah, we don't know because a lot of the plans Two-Spirit powwows and gatherings in Canada have been postponed. And in some cases, for Winnipeg anyway, in Manitoba, our Two-Spirit powwow is slated for September 4th. But if that is not a go by then, they're just going to cancel Pride Winnipeg this year. And we may have it later because we could have it inside. We do have separate funding for that powwow. So, and I know that Interpride, World Pride is in Copenhagen this year. They may and postpone. Yeah, so what we're working on right now is just sort of monitoring all the Two-Spirit events, prides, and powwows, and just sort of mapping where they are, seeing if any of them actually get launched, because we don't know. I know some of the prides are actually going virtual, which is, I think, a new experience for people, what that looks like. And yeah, so we're just sort of doing that now. And I know that Boyd is applying for funding for the International Two-Spirit Powwow. And again, I think was looking at the end of August, but it may be further into the year. Got that?
Yeah, thank you, Albert. So I don't know what you guys know, but, and I don't have any kind of real source, but just from my own sense, which isn't much, is that I think the worst of it will be over probably around June or July. From what most of the experts that I've read. So I think August, September, we should be coming out of it but who knows, it could change. But I think we're on I think you guys' scheduling is good for now. I mean, things can change in an instant, but I know that the news that I've been reading the last couple of days are dire reports about the next 2 weeks are supposed to be pretty bad here in the United States. They're expecting a lot of death. I was on a webinar last week. Lenny was there too, about it was just a report from the gay LGBTQ organizations across the United States, giving what kind of response they're doing for their local communities. And they're doing good work, but the repeated message that I heard was, with Trump and the White House, the funding has been cut, so money is scarce, and then the people are afraid to get their staff people sick, so they're doing like the rest of us. We don't want to put anybody in jeopardy, but in the meantime, there's a bunch of people who are isolated and who need help, and it's just not going to be coming. So it's going to be a really sad time for the whole world, but especially for the LGBTQ community. And the homeless shelters, the youth, it's really bad. So we need to keep all these people in our prayers. Since we have, I was talking with Albert as I was scheduling this, and he brought up a good idea, and I went ahead and did it. Was to I went and bought a membership instead of just using the free Zoom, so we can last a whole hour. Don't have to be cut off at 40 minutes. We can go further than 4 hours. I mean, further than an hour, but I don't want to keep people on much longer than that. In the meantime, we still have time, and I'd like to. I could talk about it, but I want to give Elton a chance. Elton, I know I'm going to put him on the spot because I haven't talked to him about this before. But I work with Elton on it's called an advisory board for the Southwest Well, it used to be called the Southwest Indigenous Women's Coalition, but they have since changed their name to SWIC, which is just the pronunciation of the acronym. But Elton, could you go and talk a little bit about the advisory board and our purpose and what we're doing, and just do the best you can, because I know this, I'm putting you on the spot, so but I'd appreciate it if you would do that for us.
Okay, Marlon, and we may be thinking along the same lines, so that's kind of good. It's exciting.
Well, he's used to being put on the spot. So.
Yeah. So we serve on the advisory council for the SWIC, is what they're now called, which is just the name of the acronym that Marlon mentioned. But it's a Native woman-led organization that works with victims of crime, or domestic violence survivors, the domestic violence situation, and they provide training and technical assistance. But through that organization, they really wanted to outreach to the Two-Spirit LGBT community. So they created this council, I would say about 4 years ago, to help in making recommendations, help in trainings, etc., so that our communities can be served better by domestic violence and victim services programs, both in urban and tribal communities. So that's kind of how we advise them on different programming and actually do the trainings as well. So if people are looking in the chat, Lenny and I, Lenny's also on that council, but we were beginning to think about maybe possibly doing a Two-Spirit virtual talking circle in the next couple of weeks, and through SWIC, and we're going to discuss it with the council, but then also I've outreached to the Northwest Portland Area Indian Health Board. They have a Two-Spirit project as well, and they're very excited to want to help to organize this as well. They have a big outreach. They have the technical capabilities as well. And they actually suggested to make it maybe a series of about maybe 3 or 4 virtual talking circles, each on different subjects such as mental health, as David mentioned, emotional health, physical health, cultural health, even sexual health, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are, can't be hooking up anymore. You got to be careful. So what are people doing to stay sexually healthy? Just so having those discussions and, we're proposing that, and hopefully we can organize with people. If any of you are interested in maybe presenting, I'm thinking maybe 3 short presentations by panelists, and then we can do like a dialogue, something like this through chats to answer questions. So, if anybody's interested, let me know. And then we can outreach you if you're interested in being a panelist, but also we'll hopefully, once we get organized, utilize our networks to get people to be able to join. So that's one thing. And then David mentioned in the chat about the International Indigenous HIV pre-conference. The World AIDS Conference has now become a virtual conference. So we are having a call, I want to say this week, with the International Indigenous HIV Planning Committee to discuss if we want to also do a virtual conference as well in July. So hopefully we'll make that announcement soon about that. But unfortunately, yes, they made it a virtual conference. So it won't be an in-person conference in the Bay Area this year. Any questions? Idea? Was that what you were thinking about, Marlon, a little bit?
Go ahead.
This is David. So any idea when that decision will be made, whether the Indigenous is also going to go virtual, or?
Probably by the end of this coming week.
Okay.
So Friday, so they'll probably make that. Yeah, because, people already submitted abstracts, so if it's going to be a virtual conference, we'll have to discuss platforms and if people want to still present, those type of things, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just as a side note, I know that I mentioned it in my announcement. I'm going to be doing this on a weekly basis for now. I expect it to evolve and morph into whatever it's going to do. But for now, I think it's important that we have a regular conversation, and it's not, critical that everybody's on every week. I just wanted to offer it so that information can get distributed, and people have questions. We have a venue to talk to each other. So, and then I'll be passing this out on the internet, uh, just sort of summarizing what we're talking about, so that other people can read it if they don't feel like looking at the whole video. So anyway, one of the things that about the SWIWC Advisory Council is, I just wanted to talk a little bit about. I'm really proud to be part of it. We have, is it 5 or 6, Elton? I can't remember. I think it's 6 members.
I think we have, yeah, 6 members. Yeah, we have 6.
So we have Elton, who's done a lot of work with HIV education and advocacy work. Lenny his specialty has been with violence against men and boys in the foster care, and he's also doing a lot of human trafficking work, education. He's on the board. Maddie Jim, who is a spokesperson for the transgender community. We have, I keep wanting to call her Hope. Is it Hope?
Honor.
Honor. Yeah, I knew it'd start with the H. Honor is, she's bisexual, and she does a lot of advocacy work for women in the abuse community. She does advocacy and counseling. And we just added a new person who I'm really pleased to introduce to the community. I'm not. Anyway, her name is Josie Raffaletto. I can't pronounce her last name correctly. Is that how you say it, Elton?
Yeah. Josie Raffalito. Yeah.
Ravelito. She just published a book, a toolkit for working with Two-Spirit youth, and it's a wonderful book. It's available online if you're interested in downloading it. It's a PDF format. All you have to do is register with the organization that sponsored her. It's called Western States, and they just like to keep track of who's got their material. But she's a wonderful addition to the community, and I went through the book, not in depth, but I read most of it. But it's a really good toolkit. So, most of us are looking to do more work with Two-Spirited Youth now that we're all getting a little older and need to be looking towards the future. So I'm really glad that Josie has this material out there for us to use. I look forward to somehow using it in the future gatherings that we have once we can get back together again. But she could probably do some kind of thing on virtual workshop. So there's all kinds of possibilities. But the director of SWIWC, her name is Leanne Guy. And she shared with us her vision that she created the advisory council with the idea that we would go on to become our own entity. It's going to take some time and funding, and we're not in any rush, but that's where we're headed. So I can see how there's a lot of programming that we discussed on the International Council and the SWIC Advisory Council really dovetails quite nicely with some of the goals and aims that we have. So I can see them working together, and you know, we don't need to be creating redundancies, but we do need more workers. So the more workers we have, the better. There's definitely a need. And also, he's not on the call right now, but I talked at length with John Coquet today, and he's doing a lot of good work in Oklahoma. And his focus has been, he said he's found success in focusing on the gay community at large in Oklahoma, because a lot of the two-spirited people are in the closet. You know, it's a heavily Christian Bible Belt area there. So he said when he opens it up to everybody, he finds two-spirit people. But if he has something specifically for two-spirit people, they're too scared to show up. So it's kind of a difficulty, but it's an interesting problem, I thought. But anyway, he's doing a lot of mental health work and stuff. So we have a lot of people who are doing some great work. I was at Bates Powwow for the first time. Yay. It only took 9 years to get there. This past February. I got a chance to spend the weekend with the head of one of the gay camps at Burning Man. It's called Comfort and Joy. They have 8,000 members, and they have they do a lot of fundraising, and they have a lot of money. So they're a funding source. The guy in charge at the moment, his name is Michael Cooper. He's a really great guy, but he shared with me a vision that he had when he was at Burning Man about helping the two-spirit community. He's not an Indian, but he said he doesn't want to be considered somebody who's trying to want to be an Indian. He said that's not what he wants to do. He said he didn't know exactly how he fits in, but he's definitely a source. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we do have another ally in San Francisco. They did a lot of funding. They funded about a dozen of us to come to the powwow, and they also held a workshop on the Sunday following the powwow. So we have some other people helping us. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. So at this point, it's 7:43. We got about 15 minutes. I wanted to leave this part open for questions or sharing. Anybody wanted to share, now is the time. So does anybody have any questions or anything they want to share?
I just have a question, Marlon. I like these ones that are being recorded. When we want to go see them, is there a site that we're going to be able to go to, or?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the one on NativeOut for sure. There'll be a link where you can. I'm going to see if I can put it on either YouTube or the other one called, what is it called? It starts with the V. But anyway, there's two video sites that we can use, and I'll put them up on both. And
I'm David. Maybe we can have Justin put a link on our website.
Yeah, so definitely.
Any other questions or comments?
So David, you guys will make the announcement about the Two-Spirit Gathering like at the end of April, like you said, based upon.
Yeah, we're hoping to send out a folks that are receiving our website emails to send out something this coming week. So Stephen and I are working with Justin and to try and put something out, an update about the gathering and stuff like that. So we also want to create and expand kind of our resource page and get some resources out, because the Northwest Portland area Indian Health Board has a really good page on resources and stuff right now, and all the different, there's like so many national like powwows that have been canceled and everything else, and just an update on what's going on in Indian country. So so I think right now that's kind of the one that I found that has they're pretty up to date on a lot of different events. So
Cool, thanks.
And I just heard, I think this last week when we spoke with one of our funders, I think I heard from Mila. Yeah, so because Mila is on this group with Buffalo Barbie and Sage and I don't know if Elton, if you are, they call it the Haver House group from our gathering. But apparently Utopia had a retreat planned for August and they canceled that already. So that's been canceled.
Oh, wow.
But I think that's also because it's in Seattle, and Seattle's been hit pretty hard. I mean, as far as the West, they're Seattle's one of the epicenters, unfortunately. So
Yeah. All right. We have time, so I'm going to put somebody else on the spot.
I just wanted to ask, what are folks' availability during the day? I mean, as far as like.
Oh, that's a good question.
So, I mean, because if I wanted to schedule something like during the day, is that an option, or are folks so busy with their remote work that they don't have time or something? I don't know how folks are.
I think for me, and maybe for most of us, as long as it's scheduled in advance ahead of time, we can figure out our schedules around it. So it could be any time during the day.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I can schedule in advance.
Perfect. And I like Lenny's idea. We can do like a doodle poll or something, so we can I can throw out some possible times and dates and see what works out for everybody.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I don't want to say anything. Everything I would say would be speculation. So just got to ask and find out.
Okay.
Anyone else? Miko, are you still online?
I think Miko left the meeting because I don't see Miko on.
Okay, I was going to ask him to talk about Bates, but see how they did. I think they did pretty well. They seemed like it was pretty crowded this year. So, all right, guys, if that's it, we're right up to 7:48. So thank you guys for joining and tuning in, and I'll get the link to the video out as soon as possible, and try to write up a summary within a week or so. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for coming, and I'll talk to some of you guys next week.
All right, everyone, take care. Be safe. Good to see everyone and hear everyone. Love you all.
Love you all.
Great to see everybody. Take care. Be well.